All right, today we are going to pull back the curtain on one of the most essential tools for any iOS developer, Grand Central Dispatch, or, as you'll always hear it, GCD. You know those super smooth, snappy apps that just feel great to use? Well, understanding GCD is the secret to building them. Let's jump right in.
So let's start with a problem we've all faced. You're building your app, you tap a button to, say, fetch an image or run a big calculation, and the whole thing just locks up. The screen is totally frozen, you can't scroll, you can't tap anything. It's a horrible user experience, right? So what is actually happening under the hood? Well, the culprit, the villain in this story, is an overloaded main thread. See, the main thread has a ton of responsibility. It handles literally everything you see on the screen, every UI update, every animation, every single tap and swipe from the user. So when you tell it to do some heavy, time-consuming work, it gets completely bogged down and can't do anything else until it's finished.
To make this super clear, let's use an analogy. Imagine your app is a busy restaurant, and in this restaurant, you've only got one waiter. That one waiter, that's your main thread. They're doing all the customer-facing work, greeting people, taking orders, bringing out food, handling the bill. Now, what would happen if a customer asked that single waiter to go into the kitchen and personally cook a complicated 5-course meal from scratch? Well, while that waiter is stuck in the back chopping vegetables and stirring sauces, what's happening out front? Nothing. No new orders are being taken, no food is coming out, nobody can pay. The whole restaurant just grinds to a halt. And that is exactly what's happening to your app's UI.
So, what's the fix? I mean, we still have to do that heavy work, right? We need to download that data. And this is where our hero enters the story, Grand Central Dispatch. It's Apple's powerful framework for managing work that needs to happen at the same time.
Let's go back to our restaurant. Using GCD is basically like hiring a full kitchen staff. You've got chefs, you've got prep cooks, the whole crew. Now, when a complex order comes in, does the waiter have to cook it? No way. They just pass the order ticket to the kitchen and can immediately get back to taking care of the other customers. That kitchen staff, those are your background threads.
And you know, in practice, it really can feel like you've learned a magic spell. With just one simple, elegant line of code, you can wave a wand, send all that heavy lifting to the background, and keep your app's interface perfectly smooth and responsive. It's a game changer.
And here it is. This is that magic spell we're talking about. Now, I know it might look a little bit intimidating if you're seeing it for the first time, but trust me, it's unbelievably powerful. This is how you tell the system, hey, take this chunk of work, go run it somewhere else, and do not freeze my app while you do it.
So what is this line actually doing? Let's decode this spell piece by piece so you really get what's going on and can start using it with confidence. Okay, first up, DispatchQueue.global. This is basically how we open the door to that kitchen we just hired. It gives us access to a pool of system-managed worker threads that are just sitting there, ready and waiting for us to hand them some work to do.
Now, you'll see that QoS parameter. That stands for quality of service. Think of this as giving instructions to the kitchen staff. It's how we tell the system how important our task is. Because not all background work is created equal, right? This helps the system decide how to best use resources like CPU and power. And here are our main options. At the very top, you have .userInteractive. This is for stuff that has to happen right now, like animations the user is literally watching. Next is .userInitiated, for when the user taps a button and expects a pretty quick result. Then there's .utility, which is perfect for longer running things, like downloading a large file. And finally, .background. This is for the no-rush stuff, like maintenance or syncing data when the app isn't active. Choosing the right one is really key.
And the last piece of this puzzle is .async. This little word is what makes the whole thing non-blocking. Using .async is like telling your waiter, give this order to the kitchen, but come right back. Don't stand there waiting for the food to be cooked. And that is precisely what keeps our main thread free to keep the app running smoothly.
Okay, so now we know how to send work to the background, but that's really only half the story. What happens when the background task is done? Usually, you need to show the result to the user, like updating some text or displaying an image. And for that, we need the full, complete workflow.
This brings us to the absolute #1 most important rule of iOS concurrency. You do all the heavy lifting, your networking, your image processing, your database stuff on a background queue, like DispatchQueue.global. But, and this is critical, the moment you need to touch the UI, you must come back to the main queue, DispatchQueue.main. Never, ever touch the UI from the background.
So here's the full dance, step by step. It starts on the main thread when the user taps a button. From there, you immediately use DispatchQueue.global.async to kick off the heavy work in the background. Once that background work finishes, right inside that same code block, you make one more call, DispatchQueue.main.async. This sends the final UI update job back to the main thread where it can safely update the screen. The result, a perfectly responsive app the entire time.
We have covered a lot of ground, so let's boil it all down. If you walk away from this explainer with anything, make it these golden rules for building responsive, high-quality apps.
Okay, rule number 1. Any task that might take a noticeable amount of time, networking, heavy calculations, you name it, must go on a background queue. Rule 2. Never, and I mean ever, try to update your UI from a background thread. Always, always switch back to the main queue for that. And finally, remember that .async is your best friend. It's the key that unlocks the main thread so it can stay free.
Seriously, this isn't just some neat trick. It's a foundational skill. Understanding and correctly using this GCD pattern is a huge step forward in writing professional, high-performance apps that people will actually love to use. It's one of those things that really separates the pros from the beginners.
So, I'll leave you with a challenge. Go take a look at one of your own projects. Where is the main thread doing too much work? What's the next performance bottleneck you can track down and eliminate using the power of GCD? Happy coding!